Have It All, written and read by Kris Krohn.
Chapter 1, Just Another Gimmick? Most things in life come and go. Who won the Super Bowl in 2001? Chances are you don't have a clue. What did you have for dinner this time 7 months ago? It'd be a little bit weird if you knew. Remember that day you spilled ketchup on your shirt in middle school? Probably not. However, a few things seem to affect everything, whether we want them to or not, and money is the most obvious one. While money should never be the sole focus of your existence, let's face it, money dictates so much. From the car you drive, your home, your neighborhood, to the schools that your kids have access to, the vacations you take, the donations you give to others, money rules. With money, the sky's the limit. Without money, there's pretty much nothing but limits. So let's get one thing straight. If you're looking for an emotional healing book, this isn't it. I highly recommend you study a balanced range of topics, and emotional health is as much a part of having it all as is financial health. But right here, right now, this book is about money. Even more than that, it's about how to outsmart old money rules and follow new ones that grow your net worth to new unfathomable heights. Money is a game, and every game has rules. If you learn the rules, you win. And if you don't, well, you can figure that one out. Tragically, society is a terrible money coach, like the worst. Society teaches us to want flashy cars and big houses, but it doesn't tell us how to actually acquire them. College doesn't have any rules of money course that I ever saw, and financial planners, they pretend they have all the answers, but like every other industry, the financial world's genuine experts are far and few between. If you've been following society's established money rules until now, you've learned how to place that money in the hands of experts to yield insufficient single-digit returns. The only constant is change. The good news is that if you put 5 specific investments to work for you, you will create the kind of wealth you thought only the lucky few ever make. We will be discussing some sizable returns, but why would you read a book about money that didn't promise a healthy return on investment, ROI, on your time? I have no idea why anyone would read a book about money that does not promise to deliver a plan to build massive wealth. Would you buy a book that promises, quote, read this and you might make money at some point? I sure hope not. So why another book about money? Hasn't it all been said? I've observed this attitude a lot over the years about everything. Since I was a kid, people have said things like, it's all been said, or there is nothing new under the sun. For the sake of argument, let's assume that's true. Before the internet, the world thought that business would always be conducted in person. That changed, didn't it? Before social media, the world believed that the only way to advertise was TV, email, newspaper, billboards. Now the only advertising with decent returns is done through social media. There are other examples. The changes in how we buy, how we network, how we teach, how we practice medicine, how we travel, how we eat, and much more. I laugh when I think about how I used to invest in real estate by driving around neighborhoods all day long and meeting with realtors. Now I make more money than ever, all from my couch. Let's face it, the only thing we can count on is that everything changes. That means you have a choice. You either use the new rules and stay up to speed, or you use the old rules and get left behind. When it comes to money, getting left behind means you use broken, outdated investment rules that force you to live with a scarcity mindset. You forge ahead towards your retirement years, devoid of any confidence that you'll have enough money to enjoy life after the daily grind. And let's say that you trusted the commonly held beliefs about wealth accumulation and did what you were told by financial advisors for years. You then realize decades later that you have to live on only 10 to 20% of your pre-retirement income, or else you're going to run out of money. I can't speak for you, but come on. Wouldn't that make you feel hoodwinked? Well, it happens to people every single day in this country, to people who are using the old rules. That's why I say that everything you need to know about money has not been written and will never be written. The way we earn and spend money in the present constantly changes, so the way we invest that money for the future should change as well. I'm dumbfounded at the financial plans that the industry considers to be sound advice, from 401ks and IRAs to balanced stock portfolios filled with nothing but blue chip stocks. Experts also claim that paying off your mortgage is a sound investment. All of this planning and saving is for single-digit returns at best. And you know what? You deserve better. You deserve to know that as long as you put your money into an investment that produces single-digit returns, you will only have a small fraction of what you hope to one day call your nest egg. The storm that revealed my purpose. I've spoken with many highly successful people over the years. Each of their stories seems to have one fascinating thing in common. During their lives, there was a point at which they felt they were going through the motions. Have you ever felt that way, like you're on autopilot? That mode of operation tends to make you feel emotionally devoid. It could also make your life feel a little light on meaning. Until one day when you experience the moment that sparks your awakening. You suddenly realize you have choices and you recognize that you've been making the wrong ones. You finally understand this is your life and your one shot. My awakening came after I nearly died. I had just graduated high school. My 5 younger siblings and I were on vacation with our parents, the last holiday I would have before I left to serve a 2-year mission for my church. We were enjoying some lazy days in Cannon Beach, Oregon, just outside of Portland. It's a quaint little town, a sleepy place to get away from everything. One afternoon, my sister and I decided to go wave jumping. The water was unusually shallow in one area of the beach. We traveled about 1/10 of a mile out from the shoreline, and the water was still only waist high. Looking back towards the shore, the rest of our family were tiny specks on the beach. My sister must have been feeling brave or reckless because she continued walking further and further out. The blustery day had produced frigid, bone-chilling water temperatures, and with the freezing temperatures came a sudden tempest. We began rolling in waves that were rising what felt like 10 feet high. One colossal wave lifted me up into the sky, pushing me further out to sea. Still, we pressed on. The stupidity of youth. Suddenly, as a wave I was riding crashed down, I could no longer find my footing. I instantly knew we had pushed Mother Nature to her limits, and she was going to put us back in check. A riptide pulled my feet right out from under me and sucked me deeper into the ocean. I quickly started swimming back, but I looked in horror when I could stand up again. I saw my sister being carried out even further by the waves. I could tell from the terror in her eyes that she knew she was in imminent danger. But she was already fatigued and her strength was quickly fading. I panicked and turned towards the shore to ride the next wave as high as possible into the sky. As I reached the peak, I thrust my body up and flailed my arms in an attempt to signal danger to my family, who looked like ants at that point. Somehow, I could tell that my dad saw me, and he appeared to be running to get help. Once again, to my horror, by the time I turned around, my sister had been pulled even further away. I knew in my heart that my dad would not be able to get help in time. And to make matters more dire, my lifeguard training told me not to attempt a solo rescue in these conditions. If I tried, there was little chance either of us would survive. However, I also knew that I would never be able to live with myself if I watched my sister drown. There was only one decision to make. I dove in after her. At first, a sense of heroism washed over me as I swam quickly out to her, and that gave me superhuman, albeit momentary strength. As I reached her, I could see how tired she really was. Still, I thought, I'm going to save my sister. I was utterly unprepared for how difficult it would be to keep her head above water as I attempted to swim for both of us. Panic set in yet again, and all that heroic strength faded. Swimming turned into barely treading water, and both of us were being swept further out to sea again. The moment finally came when I stopped trying to make it back to shore. Hopelessness washed over me. I was moments away from watching my sister drown, and then I would be next. That's when it happened. My life flashed before my eyes, and it was a more painful experience than I thought it would be at the tender age of 19. My thoughts immediately drifted to everything of which I felt ashamed. I haven't given anything. I haven't created anything. I've only been a drain on others. I knew there was only one more thing that I could do. I shouted to God, "Save me." I'm here to tell you that miracles are real. At that moment, a massive, non-breaking wave carried my sister and me back in the direction of the shore and back to where we were able to stand waist high again. As our feet felt the softness of the sand, we knew that we were saved. I should have been dead, but instead I was alive. As I walked my shaken sister towards the shore, I couldn't stop thinking, why did God save me? Why me? Since that day, in those frigid, turbulent waters, I've never taken life for granted. I've pursued life with fiery passion. I've lived in pursuit of having it all since that moment I emerged alive, breathing out of the ocean. That moment has led me on a journey of self-discovery, mentorship, learning, and growing. There's so many times it would have been effortless to settle back into mediocrity or take it easy, to take my foot off the gas and enjoy life. But I can't let myself do that. I have to find and test every limit. I have to find out how to explore every possibility. Why have it all? Over the years, the mentality that began forming that day in the water has materialized into something that I can teach to others. That is why I built this book upon my have it all philosophy that I've worked to exemplify since that day with my sister. I was saved for a reason, and I believe part of that reason is to teach as many people as possible to have it all. Definition: have it all. Verb: striving to live a life worth pursuing by pushing yourself to steadily and endlessly grow in 3 areas: health, relationships, and finances. Time for a definition. Have it all. Verb: striving to live a life worth pursuing by pushing yourself to steadily and endlessly grow in 3 areas: health, relationships, and finances. This philosophy has been the driving force in my life, and it all started with that one moment at sea. When I think of what it means to have it all, it does not mean possessing earthly riches, majestic mansions, or incredible cars. Earthly possessions can be gone in the blink of an eye. Having it all encompasses the privilege of being on a journey of personal growth and achievement. For me, that journey often manifests in the form of physical results. Having it all is a health, wealth, and relationship matter, which means I pursue the most enriching relationships. It means that I endeavor to build and maintain the healthiest body possible. It also means that I constantly transform money into meaning. Money is merely a tool that opens the door to possibility. The better you are at making it, the more opportunities you'll have to create a more meaningful life. The internet is literally overflowing with books and resources that can transform the health of your relationships or help you grow spiritually, mentally, and physically. Where the advice falls short is in the area of financial health. For some reason, we have yet to see a massive disruption in the financial education space. Why is that? I'm not sure, but it may have something to do with the fact that there is so much fear of the unknown regarding the way investments really work. Instead of learning how money really works, people choose to put blind faith in a person with a few acronyms in their title. Dave Ramsey is currently the closest thing the sector has to a recognized expert in finance. His message is targeted at those who can't control their spending and need to get out of debt. That's important. But getting out of debt and then investing that money into single-digit return investment vehicles is not enough for those of us who aspire to have it all. If you want to get out of debt, then get out of debt. This is not a debt solutions book, although I could easily argue that you can get out of debt much faster by increasing your return on investments. At its core, this book is about transforming money into infinitely more wealth that will give you the security, peace, and freedom you want and help establish a lasting legacy. Now, I don't believe in get-rich-quick schemes, and I also know that significant results always require action and implementation to attain. What you have to remember is that most of the skeptics in the world don't implement. People talk a good game, but precious few commit to the follow-through. Is it laziness? Fear? Limited mindset? That's a discussion for another book, perhaps. If you are a doer and an implementer, you will absolutely thrive by following the new investing rules laid out in this book. I'm going to be talking about money, and I freely admit that my views are polarizing. The transformational stuff always is. You'll discover that I'm highly opposed to the universally accepted traditional investment models. I will show you how society's accepted game plan for wealth accumulation is not only flawed, it's utterly broken. In other words, you stick with the old model and you're guaranteed to lose. Traditional financial advisors are playing according to old rules. The excellent news is I have the scoop on the new rules, the ones that enable you to actually win. Do you want to win? Of course you do. Who doesn't want to win? Ultimately, my superpower is teaching people how to be resourceful. Resourceful is a word coined in 1807 that is a combination of resource and full. There's a myriad of resources at your disposal. Is your life full of resources, or does your option tank feel empty? My goal is to awaken your ability to maneuver the resources at your disposal, money, people, talents, skills, knowledge, time, to produce a significant outcome. This outcome will ultimately manifest the life you want while creating immense value for others. That is why I'm here, and it's the impetus for this book. Thanks for trusting me, and if you are an implementer, I'm excited to welcome you into the Millionaires Club very soon. That day in turbulent waters taught me that our time on earth is too short to be on autopilot. Life is not all about money, but money can give you the freedom to find your purpose. I invite you to explore your purpose as we dig into the meat of this book. All right, so let's hit the checkpoints from chapter 1. Number 1, this is unapologetically a book about money. Number 2, with money, the sky's the limit, but without money, there's nothing but limits. Number 3, if you play the money game according to obsolete rules, you won't win. You need the new rules. Number 4, changes in the way we make and spend money mean that the way we should invest money also has to change. Number 5, the origin of the have-it-all philosophy is rooted in a harrowing life experience that taught me to see life through a different lens. And number 6, to have it all means that you strive to live a full life by pushing yourself to steadily grow in 3 areas: your health, your relationships, and your finances. Quote time. I have ways of making money that you know nothing of. John D. Rockefeller.